Good afternoon, everyone. I am Mary Ann McCarthy. I am the Education and Licensing Committee liaison staff who works with this committee. And Jovita, if you want to go ahead and call to order and establish a quorum, we will jump right in.
Thank you, Mary Ann. So my name's Jovita Dominguez. I am the chair of the Education and Licensing, and Dr. Mary Ann McCarthy is going to help us, but we'd like to get quorum. I, Jovita, am present. Is Vice President Mary Fagan? She might be having some difficulties, so we'll go to Trisha Wynn.
Trisha Wynn is here.
And President Dolores Trujillo, I believe, is in our...
Yeah, it's missing from the slide.
Yeah, I know that we have you. Thank you for being present. Mary Ann Fagan, are you able to voice your attendance?
I believe we still have a quorum.
Okay, thank you, Dolores. So, Mary Ann, would you lead us, please?
Did we introduce Trisha? Did I miss it?
You might have missed it. She did say she was present.
Yeah.
We're having difficulties with Mary Fagan.
No worries. No worries.
Thanks, Mary Ann.
Why don't you go ahead, Jovita, and do the comments on the agenda, not on the agenda, and the meeting minutes.
Thank you. Board moderator, would you take us to public comments for items not on the agenda?
We will be opening for public comment now. I will be activating the question and answer feature. Please refer to the screen share for members of the public to see how they should type in their request for comment. I've activated the question and answer feature. Members of the public can indicate that they would like to make a comment by typing into the question box, "I would like to make a comment." Please remember, you will have 2 minutes to make your comments. I will not give a reminder as your time approaches. I do not want to interrupt you nor cause you to lose your train of thought. I will mute your microphone and inform you that your time has expired, and we'll move on to the next member of the public. I'll pause for a moment for members of the public to type in, "I would like to make a comment." Committee Chair Dominguez, there are no public requests for comment. Would you like me to close this window?
Please, thank you. So that takes us, I'm sorry.
Committee Chair, there was a comment made in the opening public comments section, which I think might be appropriately addressed here in this committee, though maybe not today, but I thought I might ask Mary Ann whether she had heard this discussion about a new institution that is purchasing clinical placements and then selling those placements to
students
programs.
I have not heard that myself. I'm not sure if Loretta had heard anything about it, but I have not heard it, and we have not had that come up in any discussions or in questions that come to education and licensing.
Thanks very much. It's a pretty bold accusation, if in fact it's true. So I just was wondering if people are hearing it here. Thank you, Mary Ann. I appreciate it. Lori,
appreciate you keeping your pulse on that.
Yeah, so Kathy Hughes did bring that to me by email this week, and she sent me an updated email this morning. I did send it over to legal counsel to look into, as well as our complaint intake unit that does our investigations. And we are looking into that to see if there's any substance behind that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lori, for assisting us in that. And I hope it's a rumor and not reality. So this takes us to reviewing the minutes. I, Jovita, read them and approved them. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Trisha. Board moderator, would you take us to public comment?
We will be opening for public comment now. I will be activating the question and answer feature. Please refer to the screen share for members of the public to see how they should type in their request for comment. I've activated the question and answer feature. Members of the public can indicate that they would like to make a comment by typing into the question box, "I would like to make a comment." Please remember, you will have 2 minutes to make your comments. I will not give reminders as your time approaches. I do not want to interrupt you nor cause you to lose your train of thought. I will mute your microphone and inform you that your time has expired, and we'll move on to the next member of the public. I'll pause for a moment for members of the public to type in, "I would like to make a comment." Committee Chair Dominguez, there are no public requests for comment. Would you like me to close this window?
Yes, please. Thank you. I will take it to a vote. I, Jovita, vote yes. Vice President Dolores Trujillo
I vote yes.
and Vice President Mary Fagan.
Mary Fagan votes yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, yay! Thank you. I feel bad. I feel bad for your technical difficulties. I've had them in the past, and we're not alone. It's happened to me too.
I may fall off permanently in a few minutes, but I'm doing my best to try to get some help over here. So sorry about it.
Okay, thank you, Mary. And Trisha Wynn.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries.
Thanks so much. We're moving on to agenda item 8.3. This is the discussion and possible action regarding whether to recommend ratification of minor curriculum revisions, acknowledge receipt of program progress reports, and whether to recommend ratification of clinical facility approval or other actions. These are consent agenda items, and the schools that are under consideration are identified in the meeting materials under the lists that are the corresponding. According to board policy, nursing education consultants may approve minor curriculum changes that do not significantly alter philosophy, objectives, or content. These approvals must be reported to the ELC committee and to the board. Some of these options are curriculum changes, work study programs, preceptor programs, and public health nurse certificate programs. Thank you.
Thank you, Marianne. And does any board members have any questions before we do a motion?
I don't.
Okay, thank you. I'd like a motion to recommend for the ratification of minor curricular revisions, clinical agencies, or facility approvals, and acknowledge receipt of programs progress reports, excuse me. And I vote yes. Or I would like
Can we get a second?
Yes, thank you, Marianne.
Yes, I'll second.
Thank you,
Tricia.
Would we, BRN moderator, would you please take us to public comment?
We will be opening for public comment now. I will be activating the question and answer feature. Please refer to the screen share for members of the public to see how they should type in their request for comment. I've activated the question and answer feature. Members of the public can indicate they would like to make a comment by typing into the question box, "I would like to make a comment." Please remember, you will have 2 minutes to make your comments. I will not give a reminder as your time approaches. I do not want to interrupt you nor cause you to lose your train of thought. I will mute your microphone and inform you that your time has expired, and we'll move on to the next member of the public. I'll pause for a moment for members of the public to type in, "I would like to make a comment." Committee Chair Dominguez, there are no public requests for comments. Would you like me to close this window?
Thank you, yes. So I'd like to take it to a vote. I, Jovita, votes yes. President Trujillo,
Yes.
Vice President Fagan,
Mayor Fagan, yes.
and Tricia Nguyen.
When, yes.
Thank you. Motion carries.
Thank you very much. Moving on to agenda item 8.4, discussion and possible action regarding whether to recommend approval, acceptance, or other action for approved nursing programs. These are consent agenda items. The first part is continuing approval of pre-licensure nursing programs, and the second is pre-licensure nursing programs that have unit adjustments or other changes with no enrollment increase. So the BRN staff have received and reviewed all documentation from the programs that are listed in agenda item 8.4. Information on these requests is on the list provided in your materials packet, and these programs have met all board rules and regulations related to the requests and our consent agenda items. Thank you.
Any board members have any questions on 8.4 or comments? Okay, I'd like to take a motion to recommend continuing approval of pre-licensure nursing programs and pre-licensure nursing program unit adjustments or other changes substantive change, no enrollment increase. Do I have a second?
I will second.
Is that Dolores?
Mhm.
Thank you, Dolores. BRN moderator, please take us to public comment.
We will be opening for public comment now. I will be activating the question and answer feature. Please refer to the screen share for members of the public to see how they should type in the request for comment. I've activated the question and answer feature. Members of the public can indicate they would like to make a comment by typing into the question box, "I would like to make a comment." Please remember, you will have 2 minutes to make your comments. I will not give a reminder as time approaches. I do not want to interrupt you nor cause you to lose your train of thought. I will mute your microphone and inform you that your time has expired, and we'll move on to the next member of the public. I'll pause for a moment for members of the public to type in, "I would like to make a comment." Committee Chair Dominguez, there are no public requests for comment. Would you like me to close this window?
Yes, please. Thank you. I'd like to take it to a vote. I, Jovita, votes yes. President Trujillo,
I vote yes.
Vice President Fagan,
Mayor Fagan, yes.
and Tricia Nguyen.
When, yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you very much. Agenda item 8.5, discussion and possible action regarding whether to recommend continuing approval or other action for an approved nursing program that is currently on deferred action status. This is Victor Valley College Associate Degree Nursing Program. And Victor Valley, their information starts on page 61 of your packet. And board moderator, if you could please elevate the presenters on the list for Victor Valley. Victor Valley had a regularly scheduled continuing approval visit in November of 21, and they were found to be in non-compliance with 16 BRN regulations. At the February 22 board meeting, the program was put on deferred status with quarterly reports to their NEC, and they were to return in a year. The program returned in May of 23 with 2 remaining areas of non-compliance related to curriculum. Victor Valley has now completed the curriculum revision. They are here today to request continuing approval as the program has addressed all areas of non-compliance are in compliance with BRN regulations. The agenda item summary on page 61 includes more details related to, and the executive summary provided by the program explains how they address the non-compliances and how they continue to move forward. Thank you. The program is here if you have questions. Otherwise, they're in.
Do any of the board members have questions on their information?
I don't have any questions. I just, I'm impressed that they so
Mhm.
quickly turned around the number of deficiencies that they had. So I'm good for them. And Marianne, thanks for your, you know, your staff's work
Yes.
on this. I'm sure you were instrumental in making that happen.
You're welcome. They did all the work.
But
However,
you,
the possible motion may be, Jovita, though, that we want to recommend continuing approval for them as
Okay.
they are in compliance now, as opposed to deferred status.
okay, then I will make a motion. I'm sorry, Marianne, you said to accept their,
Well, you would
continuing?
make a motion for them to have continuing approval.
Okay, I make a motion for Victor Valley to have continuing approval, recommend to the board to have the program. Actually, would we have them come back or
No,
just the regular,
You
the
don't.
regular?
correct.
So
They're
I
just
will,
now you would just recommend continuing approval of Victor
Thank-
Valley College.
thank you, Marianne. So I make a motion to continue Victor Valley College Associate Degree in Nursing Program for their continuance. Do I have a second?
I second it.
Thank you, Dolores. BRN moderator, please take us to public comment.
We will be opening for public comment now. Please refer to the screen share for members of the public to see how they should type in their request for comment. I've activated the question and answer feature. Members of the public can indicate that they would like to make a comment by typing into the question box, "I would like to make a comment." Please remember, you will have 2 minutes to make your comments. I will not give a reminder as your time approaches. I do not want to interrupt you nor cause you to lose your train of thought. I will mute your microphone and inform you that your time has expired, and we'll move on to the next member of the public. I'll pause for a moment for members of the public to type in, "I would like to make a comment." Committee Chair Dominguez, there are no public requests for comment. Would you like me to close this window?
Yes, please. Thank you. So I do want to thank Victor Valley for being available, just in case we did have any questions, and I'd like to take it to a vote. Jovita votes yes. President Trujillo,
I vote yes.
Vice President Fagan,
Mayor Fagan, yes.
and Tricia Nguyen.
Tricia Nguyen, yes.
Thank you. Motion carries.
Thank you so much. Agenda item 8.6 is discussion and possible action regarding whether to recommend continuing approval or other action for an approved nursing program. 8.6.1 is Gurnick Academy of Medical Arts Associate Degree Nursing Program in Fresno. The information regarding Gurnick starts on page 68 of your packet. And board moderator, if you could elevate the presenters for Gurnick should the committee have any questions. Okay, so Gurnick's first continuing approval visit was completed in February of 23, with the program having 2 consecutive years of annual NCLEX pass rates of less than 75. You can see their pass rates listed on 68 in their agenda item summary, but 2021 was 70.3 and 21-22 was 63.55. I also have listed their 3 so far. We haven't finished a whole year, so we always look at an entire year as far as the annual. So we don't have that yet. We will have that, the finalized stuff in October for that. But the agenda item summary also includes more details. The program has submitted an executive summary that explains how they're addressing and working towards compliance in this area. And the program is here should you have any questions. Thank you.
Do any of the board members have any questions for Gurnick Academy?
I do. This is Dolores. There was a significant increase on the attrition rates. Can this be explained? So
Samantha, are you able to unmute?
Thank you, Dr. McCarthy. Thank you, Mr. Helio. Yes, there were some significant increase during the 2-year. This was due to pandemic, personal, financial, and some course failures as well during that time.
Okay.
And we made some significant mitigation to decrease our attrition by making sure we provided some resources for our students. We have 7 cups. We have individualized session with our students. And right now our current, to end tomorrow, we don't have a tester tomorrow. We are currently 18 out of 18, which is all of them has passed 100%. So we're looking at 77.55 for this annual 2022 to 2023. Thank you, Mr. Helio.
Thank you for answering the question. Any other board members have any questions for Gurnick?
This is Mary. I have a question, and I think I'm not sure I understood clearly what you just said about the pass rates, but what I'm seeing here, the most recent quarter is a 61.29% pass rate. Can you please address that? And if you have more recent data that's not in this report, can you share that again?
Thank you, Dr. Fagan. Yes, we do have a recent update. We are currently working with our graduates once a week. We have our NCLEX instructor and our assistant director, Ms. Ledesma, who is meeting with them. And our current data as of yesterday, we had 1 passer. So 18 out of 18 passed. We are 100%. So if we have 76 passed out of 98 testers to complete the year of 2022 academic year 2023, we have 77.55. And unfortunately, tomorrow is the last day and this meeting is the 29th. But our current is, I know that the board will be releasing the information, is 77.55% for the academic year.
And just to clarify, Mary, what's on here is they do get results in quarters. However, we can only look at annual dates. So the annual reports have not gone out yet. So my understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong, Samantha's working with her students and they're reporting to her their results. That hasn't been officially submitted from NCSBN to us yet to distribute to our programs. We don't have a fit. We also give them, even though we'll get them sometime probably in July, we give the programs until October to make any corrections. So it really is October that we have the true and final annual percentages.
Thank you, Dr. McCarthy. You are correct.
Thanks, Samantha. Does that help, Mary?
Yeah, that's helpful. Thanks.
So the reason they went forward is because of the 2 years, 2021 and 21-22, both below 75. They had to, put together a plan. The nursing education consultant had to meet, review everything, do a virtual visit, and bring them forward in noncompliance.
Thank you. I'd like to, if no other questions from the board, I'd like to make a motion I would like to make a motion to accept and defer action for Gurnick Academy of Medical Arts Association Associate Degree of Nursing, Fresno. Let's see. I'm sorry, Marianne. I'm getting a little...
That's okay. That's okay. Deferred action is
here.
correct. So then the question is, do you want them to return at a certain time? And do you want to have any progress reports in between there?
I believe progress reports would be adequate. And I believe we have the next meeting in August. Would that be feasible to put them on the agenda for August, or should we wait for another one, like give them time?
They can always come back when they come into compliance.
Okay,
so,
then I would
we
like...
can always bring them back when they come into compliance. That's not an issue. So if they're in compliance in October, November, we would certainly bring them back. But you can this is kind of up to you whether you want to put a month or year. I think the last meeting in May, we just said, come back when you're in compliance. And like I said, you can have progress reports as well. That's totally up to you.
Okay, so I will make a motion to defer action for Gurnick Academy of Medical Arts Associate Degree of Nursing Program from Fresno. Recommend to the board to have these programs returned when in compliance and when in full compliance, and progress reports intermittent as they as it seems feasible.
So
Do I have a second?
before we do a second, I'd like to interrupt, please. And so just for consistency and education here, some programs are not able to clear up their non-compliance within, 2 months, 3 months, 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
So it is typically practiced where our board will have them return in a year, so that we can follow up with them in person in a board meeting, with the board doing progress reports on a routinely scheduled time frame. That can vary anywhere between monthly or a report out every committee as well as every board. That is what was done with ELAC previously, or quarterly report outs, or even every 6 months. That way there is some board continued follow-up as well as them working one-on-one with their NEC. At any point, the NEC is absolutely able to bring them back in front when they are in compliance, but as a safeguard so that they do not get missed, and that our board continues to have this publicly shared out with them, it is recommended that the board have set a specific time frame for them to return to the board, so that if non-compliance is not cleared up by that point, that we do still have a continued check-in with them, please.
So, Lori, then if we make a motion for next year, would that be adequate, or are you?
That's what the board has historically done, is to, when they are in non-compliance, because what's happening right now is our NECs have gone out and done a continuing approval visit. Either if they're non-accredited programs, they do the approval visits by themselves. If they're an accredited program, our NECs team up with the accrediting agency and they do the visit together. When they're doing this visit, which is anywhere between a 5-year or an 8-year or a 10-year visit with an interim report, our NECs have found that these programs are not in compliance with our law. In fact, they're breaking the law. That is what a non-compliance is. Mm-hmm. And so when they are not in compliance with our laws, we cannot give them a continuing approval status, which the only way you can do it a continuing approval status is if they are in full compliance with all of our laws, all of our rules and regulations. So when they're not in compliance, our board is choosing to not take any action. That is what is a deferred action is. Our board is saying, wait, we're not going to do anything. What we're going to do is take a look at what's presented in front of us. Okay, we look to see what their non-compliances are. We look to see what they need to do to clean them up and come back into compliance and be in alignment with our laws. And then we say, we're not going to take any action. We're going to allow you to have some time to fix them. In the discussion with the program, with the NEC, with the other board members, it's decided that, it looks like you'll be able to clean this up in 6 months. It looks like you'll be able to clean this up in 1 year. Or if it's, kind of an NCLEX pass rate where they have to implement new curriculum and they have to hire faculty and stuff, that sometimes is a 2-year process. And so then at that point, our board wants to have continual kind of check-ins. And so that's what you guys are establishing right here, is you want a check-in at the time that you think they would be back in compliance. So with this conversation, do you think they'd be in compliance within a year? Then you would make that motion that would say, I'm deferring taking any action. I'm not doing anything at this point, but I do recommend to the board that they have this program come back to ELC and board in 6 months or 1 year, so that they can come back in and present to us to see where they're at on clearing up the areas that are not in compliance with our law. And in addition to that, where they don't have to come actual forward, is they can submit progress reports to the NEC that then they share out through the progress report form within our package to show this is where we're at in cleaning and clearing up all of these areas. If at any point in that communication with the NEC, it is deemed that they are in compliance, or if they find out that additional areas are happening, then the NEC has the ability to put them on the agenda, to bring them back in front of the board to have additional conversations, whether that's to impose additional action where, like an example was with ELAC, our board decided after giving them ample time that they were not clearing up the non-compliances. So they made the motion to pause enrollment for 1 semester so that they can have the time to work on the curriculum and do that implementation. So that's the time when the NEC would bring them back in front of the board and say, hey, it's not getting cleaned up. I need them to come forward sooner. And I need you to take additional action, because just not doing anything and allowing them to come into compliance is not working. And so that's when the board made that additional action. But then also, like the previous agenda item, the NEC worked with the program. They're in full compliance. So we had previously deferred taking any action after a continuing approval visit because they had so many areas of non-compliance at Victor Valley that we gave them ample time to fix that. As soon as the NEC realized that they were fixed by working together with them, they brought it forth and they asked you to actually take an action. And that action was to do a continuing approval. And now that program is good for the next 5, 8, or 10 years, depending on what their accreditation cycle is, or if they're not accredited, a 5-year for us to go back in and review. So hopefully that kind of explains what and why we're doing this, so that you guys can understand what needs to be filled into these blanks. And so you're not taking an action, which is why you're deferring action, because we cannot put them in a continued approval state. And then you are wanting them to set a guideline that says, after discussing everything with you, I think this will be wrapped up in a year. So return to the board and check in with us in a year, and then give us your NEC, so the NEC will pass that on to us. Check-ins, are they quarterly? Are they every 6 months? Are they extensive enough that you want a monthly check-in? It really just depends on what the non-compliances are and what the concerns the board has. So hopefully that provides some guidance.
It does. Thank you. So I'd like to take a motion to defer action for Gurnick Academic of Medical Arts Associate Degree in Nursing Program, Fresno. Recommend to the board to have this program return to ELC in 1 year when program is in full compliance with some improvements or full compliance with BRN rules and regulations, and have progress reports to the NEC. Do I have a second?
Do we want to say how often we want a progress report from them?
Yes. So I would say that if we're going to go a year, then it would be June, August of 24, right? Since it's asking for months and years, we would come back. They would be at the meeting, the ELC and the board meeting, June, August of 24. And then again, however often you want progress reports, which again, as Lori said, could be quarterly, could be every 6 months. However you want. This particular non-compliance is related to NCLEX pass results, which we will not have final results until October. So bringing them back in October, November may not be feasible.
So would it be appropriate to say 6 months, a progress report in 6 months?
If Lori's okay with that, yes.
Lori, would you be okay with 6 months, a progress report in 6 months?
So just for clarification again, it's not whether or not I'm okay. It's what the board decides is appropriate for reporting. So when you're looking at an NCLEX pass rate, we look at the annual pass rate. This program, this is their 2nd year. So when you're looking at our regulation that defines what is required in law for these schools to have a pass rate, the first year, which this school has already had, a 1 year, that was last year, of NCLEX non-compliance, the NEC does a action plan with them. They meet with the nursing program. They kind of look into what the program thinks is not working or needs some addressing, and then they submit that. So I'm going to read to you guys the regulation 16 CCR 1431. It's called Licensing Examination Pass Rate Standard. And it says the nursing program shall maintain a minimum pass rate of 75% for first-time licensing examination candidates. A program exhibiting a pass rate below 75% for first-time candidates in an academic year shall conduct a comprehensive program assessment to identify variables contributing to the substandard pass rate and shall submit a written report to the board. The report shall include the findings of the assessment and a plan for increasing the pass rate, including specific corrective measures to be taken, resources, and time frame. And so that was done and completed last year and brought to our board through our NEC. That information and plan was effective. It wasn't completely effective because we're not above 75% this year, but they are showing an increase. Mm-hmm. So then we get to section B, which says a board approval visit will be conducted if a program exhibits a pass rate below 75% for the first-time candidates for 2 consecutive academic years. That is where we're at with this school. So this school did the action plan with the NEC. It wasn't completely effective in bringing it above 75, which is our threshold. They had 2 years where they're not having a 75% pass rate. So to put that into kind of simple terms, if you have 100 students that are graduating from your program with an associate degree in nursing, 75 of them are able to become an RN by passing the NCLEX on the first time. 25 of them are failing that and are not able to become an RN because with a degree, it means nothing. You have to pass the boards. Mm-hmm. So they are non-employable. They have student loan debts, and they are not able to pass the NCLEX pass. That is where we come in with the board with public protection. So that is why this is a non-compliance with our laws, and that's why we take this seriously and we bring it in front of our board. Then we go to C, and it says the board may place a program on a warning status with intent to revoke the program's approval and may revoke approval if a program fails to maintain the minimum pass rate pursuant to section 2788 of this code. So if this school or any school that has a 2-year less than 75 doesn't clear this up, then the board can remove that program's approval, which means they stop and they do a teach out and they don't enroll students. So that is why these motions are imperative to have some strict guidance so that the program knows exactly what is legally required of them. Our NECs have very clear direction. Our board continues to have report outs, and our public is very much aware of what's going on, because until we decrease enrollments or remove or revoke a program approval or put them on warning status, students continue to enroll in these programs with the expectation that they are going to graduate, get a degree, pass the boards, and get employable as an RN. And currently, this school is not doing that. And other schools that are less than 75 are not following through on that on a level that is established and acceptable by our board for public protection. So that is why we ask them to return to our board. That is why we set progress reports so that you guys can keep an eye on them and our public stays aware. It is not up to me to make that decision. It's not whether I agree with it. It's so that you guys can make the decision in the order and in the realm of public protection to have that information shared so that you guys can make the decisions on whether or not you're going to continue approval if they come in full compliance, whether we're going to continue to defer action to allow them time to continue to fix this, or whether or not the board's going to put them on a warning status with intent to remove approval, or whether or not you're going to revoke the program's approval altogether.
Thanks so much, Lori. That is super helpful. What would be a reasonable period of time to get the NCLEX scores that, we will, they will see in October? I mean, would that be our November meeting?
I believe if we say 6 months, their October results will have already been entered.
Good.
So
So
I believe, let's say, if the board is okay, let's
Hang
say
on.
6 months.
Jovita, let me answer Trish's question.
Oh,
really quick.
sorry.
So when we're looking at NCLEX pass rate, when this was first identified a year ago, when they had their first NCLEX pass rate stuff, we make a plan with them that's typically related to curriculum support. We're trying to find out what's going on with them. And then if it's new, and this is a 2-year program, we expect results within about 2 years. We expect to start seeing these changes. So we are now at the 2-year mark. We are starting to see some changes. They are showing that this NCLEX pass rate is improving. It's not improved where it needs to be in compliance with the law, but it is improving. So with this being a 2-year program, we would have expected that from the first NCLEX pass rate of being 1 year less than 75, that we would now start to see some effects. So they should, at about 1 year mark from now, be able to show us that, yes, this has improved. However, taking into consideration that we get our NCLEX pass rates from Pearson VUE through NCSBN on June 31st is when the year closes. Then it comes to us, we send it out to the programs, they validate the information, they make sure that there's no other students that didn't belong on that report. On that report, sometimes the student enters the wrong school code, etc. Once it's been validated, we update that and put it as a final onto our website, and that's typically done in October. So by November this year, or at our board meeting, October, November, we will absolutely have this year's annual pass rates, and we will know if this year they're above 75 or not. If they are above 75, our NEC can bring them back in October and November and get them a full compliance, where then they can go on to get a continued approval from our board. If they are not in compliance this year, which we have no certainty that it is, they are doing the math, calculating it. It looks like it might be. Again, not 100% sure yet until we get everything in, because NCLEX pass rates are based on any person that went to that school at any point in time, first time pass rate. So they might have a student that graduated 5 years ago, say, oops, I haven't taken my NCLEX yet. I decide to do it now, and they're not calculating that person in. So we don't know what their NCLEX pass rate is until it's given to us. But if it's not cleared this year, we won't know again until October or November of next year what the next annual pass rate is. But that is also why you guys would ask for progress reports, so that if we see on a quarterly basis that it's dipping, that the actions that are being taken are not working, that other areas are being identified, the NEC is getting that report, is sharing it with the board, it's being shared out publicly, and people are able to make decisions based on that. So hopefully that answered your question, Trish, on kind of time frame. We look at the type of program, the years the program has to implement those changes based on that action plan. And then we take into consideration if it's an annual pass rate issue, when those annual pass rates will be released and validated, and then we can check on that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lori.
Yeah.
With that information, I'd like to say quarterly progress reports, and then brought back in June of 2024, August of 2024. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Is that Mary Fagan?
Dolores.
Oh, Dolores. Thank you, Dolores. So can BRN moderator please take us to public comment?
We will be opening for public comment now. Please refer to the screen share for members of the public to see how they should type in the request for comment. I've activated the question and answer feature. Members of the public can indicate that they would like to make a comment by typing into the question box. I would like to make a comment. Please remember, you will have 2 minutes to make your comments. I will not give a reminder as your time approaches. I do not want to interrupt you or cause you to lose your train of thought. I will mute your microphone and inform you that your time has expired, and we'll move on to the next member of the public. I'll pause for a moment for members of the public to type in, I would like to make a comment. Committee Chair Dominguez, there are no public requests for comment. Would you like me to close this window?
Yes, thank you. I, Jovita, would like to vote yes. President Trujillo?
Yes, I vote yes.
Vice President Fagan? She might be having some difficulties.
She continues to have difficulties.
Yeah, go ahead and just.
Yeah, she may not be able to be on the committee going forward. I think she's going to be out the rest of the time. She should figure out a way to get back on without the technical issues.
Okay, Trisha Nguyen, does that make, excuse me, Trisha.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. With us three, we still meet quorum?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Thanks so much. Agenda item 8.6.2. This is discussion and possible action regarding whether to recommend continuing approval or other action for an approved nursing program. This program is College of the Desert Associate Degree Nursing Program, and their information starts in the packet on page 75. And Board Moderator, if you could please elevate presenters on the list for College of the Desert. So College of the Desert Associate Degree Nursing Program had a scheduled joint BRN visit and continuing approval visit with their ASIN accreditation visit in February of 2023. The program was found to be in noncompliance in one area, and one related recommendation was given. So their noncompliance was related to the director and the assistant director shall have dedicated time to administrate the program, and they were found in noncompliance because both the director and the assistant director have many other hats. The program director is responsible for many of the allied health programs, and there are 2 allied health programs that are now in planning to be added, 2 more. Not that she would necessarily be responsible for them, but she is responsible for many of the others. So it's unclear who would be responsible for those. And the assistant director is teaching almost a full load. And so she also does not have adequate amount of time to help. The other concern was that the board had just approved a large enrollment increase in the fall of 2022, increasing their enrollment from 30 students twice a year to 100 students twice a year. The recommendation was given that more full-time faculty would be considered to relieve the teaching duties of the program director and the assistant director, so that, things could be spread out between more people and relieve them of some of their duties. The agenda item summary on page 75 has more details. The program has also provided a summary that explains how they are going to address the non-compliances. The program director and the assistant director are here should you have any questions. Thank you.
I do. Yeah.
Sure.
Hi, who am I speaking to?
Sarah, are you able to unmute?
I am, yes. I'm
Hi.
Sarah Fry. I'm the Director of Nursing and Allied Health.
Hello, Sarah. So have you hired more faculty? That's where I can begin.
I'm sure you're aware of the college processes that take some time. What I can tell you is that we underwent the prioritization process through the college, and we were ranked as the first priority of a full-time hire, and our second hire was ranked as number 7. So of all of the, I believe there were 20 requests across campus, we ranked at number 1 and 7, We are just awaiting the arrival of our new interim president to approve those committee rankings, which the policy basically says that unless unusual what's the word I'm looking for? Significant outside circumstance, then she approves the rankings as the committee finds them. So we anticipate at least one hire, if not two, for the next academic year.
Yeah, it sounds like you need two. My largest concern is that we approved an enrollment increase, and you have taken on that enrollment increase. You have gone up to those numbers already, or not yet?
No, we, at the time in February, we were at I want to say 40 per semester, Marianne. I think those numbers got lost because it had been so long since we had an enrollment increase. It was like over 10 years, but I believe we were at 40 a year. And then we are now at 60 a year. We obviously need to wait for these new hires and also the additional help for me for the administration before we can take on that 100 per semester. I will tell you that we've had a huge turnover in our administration. We only have one vice president that was here in the last 2 years, including our president. So our new administration is very supportive, and they have verbalized their support. We're just going through the slow processes of community college bureaucracy.
What is the time frame that you're anticipating that you would have somebody?
So the prioritization committee results, those are for fall 2024 hires. Although we do anticipate getting additional hires with outside funding, because that's always a quicker process. And I anticipate getting that for potentially either this fall or spring. For the administrator, which was the non-compliant item, I anticipate having somebody in the role by February.
That's quite a ways away.
Well,
yeah, I know.
Once you post the position and recruit for the position and interviews and everything, it is, a minimum of a 3-month process. And we are in the Coachella Valley out by Palm Springs, and we sometimes have a difficult recruit.
Yeah.
But I'm hopeful.
Are you in session right now for the summer?
The only thing, we only run a LVN and CNA during the summer.
Okay.
This is Tricia. I appreciate so much Dolores's comments, and Sarah, thanks for being so forthcoming. So I heard you say, oh, we really can't expand until we get more staff. I mean, I would love for you to make a commitment that you're not going to expand until you get more staff, because that feels like it gets even, worse.
I am in 100% agreement with you. And I would say that and my assistant director, department chair is on too. And I think we can collectively commit to not any further growth until we have both that other full-time administrator that is in the plan, the action plan that we gave you, as well as more faculty. We have filled the staffing vacancy that we had, and I'm happy to say that the staff are reporting that they're able to get to all the projects they've been wanting to get to, and they feel that they are adequately staffed right now.
Thank you.
Yes.
And then just some additional information for the board. The Chancellor's Office for the community college has put out kind of a directive for either growth or retention. And College of the Desert was put out by the Chancellor's Office that they are on a retention cycle for to address their attrition as such and to not grow anything further. So that's where they're at right now as well.
Thank you, Lori, for that information. Any other questions for Dolores or Tricia?
No.
Then I'd like to take a motion to defer action for College of the Desert Associate Degree of Nursing Program recommend to the board to have this program return to ELC in a year when the program is in full compliance with BRN rules and regulations, and would like progress reports, quarterly progress reports. Do I have a second?
I will second. This is Dolores. I was thinking that exact thing.
I appreciate that. BRN moderator, take us to public comment.
We will be opening for public comment now. Please refer to the screen share for members of the public to see how they should type in their request for comment. I've activated the question and answer feature. Members of the public can indicate that they would like to make a comment by typing into the question box, "I would like to make a comment." Please remember, you will have 2 minutes to make your comments. I will not give a reminder as your time approaches. I do not want to interrupt you nor cause you to lose your train of thought. I will mute your microphone and inform you that your time has expired, and we'll move on to the next member of the public. I'll pause for a moment for members of the public to type in, "I would like to make a comment." Committee Chair Dominguez, there are no public requests for comment. Would you like me to close this window?
Yes, please. I, Jovita Dominguez, votes yes. Dolores Trujillo, Vice President.
Yes.
Thank you. Trisha Nguyen.
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you.
And thank you, Sarah, for coming to answer our questions.
Thank you very much.
Okay, agenda item 8.6.3 is discussion and possible action regarding whether to recommend continuing approval or other action for an approved nursing program. This is Merit College Associate Degree Nursing Program. Their information starts on page 78 of your packet. And board moderator, if you could please elevate the presenters on the list for Merit. So Merit also had a scheduled continuing BRN visit in February of 23. And the program was found to be in non-compliance with one significant area, which was resources, faculty, and staff. There were 7 other non-compliances that were in related areas. Related meaning because they don't have enough faculty and staff, all these other areas are affected. So they ended up with one major and a lot of 7 other related ones. Their pass rates have also dropped from 95.65 in 2021 to 77.78 in 21-22. Again, their major non-compliance was related to faculty and staff. Important to note that Merit, and I have to give them kudos for this, they have voluntarily decided to hold admission in the fall of 2023, as they recognize that they do not have the faculty and staff resources to bring in a new cohort. I spoke with them just this week. They also may have to move their pediatric courses from the fall of 23 to the spring of 24 because they have no pediatric faculty. So I will be working closely with them on how that might look and how that might affect their students. They still remain without a permanent full-time staff position. They do have a temporary, but again, they don't have, it's been a long, long time since, I shouldn't say long, but it's been a while since they had a permanent position. They also are at risk because they've had significant turnover of college administration over the last 5 years, and they have lost a lot of faculty, mostly due to retirement. The faculty have been around for a long time, but they've been, faculty have been retiring or leaving in the past 10 years, but there hasn't really been any replacement of those faculty. And then I also was just informed recently as well that the current dean will be leaving the position this month, so there will be another new dean coming into the position. The agenda item summary is on page 78, which includes details. The executive summary is also attached that came from the program that shows how they're addressing and working towards addressing these non-compliances. And Merit College reps are here should you have any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Marianne.
Sure. I'm assuming you have questions, so I'm going to make sure Dawn's available.
I have a question. The thing that really jumped out at me on this report was the attrition rate.
Yes.
Thank you. I was going to ask that.
Yeah, and then it seems like we haven't heard, like after 2021, there's kind of nothing. So I also am very glad that they have decided to pause incoming students and get their affairs in order. So that is great news. But I would love to hear from Merritt College about the attrition.
I would just want to just let you know that we get the NECs when they report to you guys. We get it from the school survey, and that's the most recent information we have. However, the program may be able to speak because they keep their own attrition ongoing, so they may be able to speak to that. Dawn, can you speak to attrition, please? Thank you.
Yes. Good afternoon, ladies. We realize that we have some challenges with our attrition. And with that, we know that we need to update our curriculum. And part of our plan for updating curriculum is to embed some courses or coursework to address the attrition challenges that we have. We see them as being a result of the inconsistency and instability of faculty. We have lost many faculty. We are down to only 4 full-time faculty. That is counting myself. And with our not taking in a cohort for the fall, full-time faculty will be able to work diligently on developing a coursework for mentorship and tutoring to lessen the attrition and increase the retention of our students.
Thank you. Anybody else have any more questions for Merritt?
You know, I commend the fact that you're pausing enrollment for the fall. I'm concerned, but I think it's explained in the report how your NCLEX scores fell so low. While you're still compliant at 70, I think it's 77%.
Yes.
Yeah. They fell from 100%. 100% is commendable. And does that have any bearing because of your attrition rate, or was there something else that played into that? The fall of your NCLEX scores?
Thank you for that, Ms. Trujillo. What we discussed as a faculty when we saw that drop, that significant drop, we saw that around the COVID period. And what we discussed was there were so many changes that took place around that COVID environment. The changes in how we had to teach, the changes that we had to make, the changes in adjunct faculty. And that was quite an intense period of change. And we also had a new dean during that time, who is not the present dean, but we had a great amount of changes that we had to address in a short amount of time with dedicated people to work with, but they did not have maybe the institutional memory nor the education around nurses. So around nursing. I would say that we won't have that again once we get back on track, once we get the stability with our faculty, once we get dedicated full-time faculty,
once we improve and change the curriculum, all of these things, I believe, will come together and will work to strengthen and improve these board scores. We've always been very, very proud of our board scores. So when they dropped like that, we were just, it kind of took our breath away. So we're really, that's one thing we could brag about, if nothing else. And so with that drop, you know, we're really working on that.
Yeah. And President Trujillo, am I able to add a couple of?
Sure. Could you introduce
things?
yourself, please?
My name is David Johnson. I have the honor and pleasure of serving as the president of Merritt College. I want to thank Dawn for her remarks and helping, I think, to elucidate our situation. Just a couple of things. Number one, I see for 22-23, we're back on the upswing in terms of the pass rate. It looks like it's 27 out of 31 when you look at the 3 quarters. So it looks like we're back up to about 87%, not quite 100, but we're working our way back. Number two, I want to say that as the president, ultimately, I'm going to have the decision-making process to approve full-time faculty members. As the college who preceded us kind of noted, there is a process of faculty prioritization process, but taking this year off from receiving students is going to give us the bandwidth, if you will, to not only address the internal challenges, but also to focus on the nursing faculty and the administration working in concert to assure a positive ranking of our nursing position in a prioritization process. I've already spoken with the Academic Senate President and others, so they recognize the gravity and severity of needing to do this so we can continue to bolster our signature program on campus, because that is what nursing is. It is our signature program on campus. Finally, just really quickly, I just wanted to basically, you know, I've been listening since 9 o'clock. This has been very educational, just listening to all the things. I want to just basically express my appreciation for having an opportunity to be here with you today. I want to thank especially, I hope I'm not talking out of turn, to Dr. Mary Ann McCarthy, who was our nursing education consultant, for her thorough, candid, and constructive appraisal of our program. I can say unequivocally that her working with her and our meetings with her were really an inflection point in terms of bringing the challenges and opportunities of our program into proper and sharper focus. And I know that we're going to be better as a result of that. And lastly, I'll just close with, you do have the results. You do have the report of the findings and our college responses. But what you don't have in front of you, and what I want to make certain that you appreciate, is, as the president, my assurance that the findings and the process that produced them, that yielded them, we take it seriously. I'm taking it seriously. And as such, you have our commitment that we're going to do everything that we need to do to rectify the issues and restore the program to its standing. So I hope we have the opportunity to do that. And thank you again for allowing us to speak with you today.
Thank you. My name's Jovita, and I so appreciate you giving the nursing program the support.
Yes, thank you very much.
Yes.
So I'd like to take a motion, if it's okay with the rest of the board, to do a motion to defer action for Merritt College Associate Degree of Nursing Program. Recommend to the board to have this program return to ELC board in a year with quarterly progress reports when the program is in full compliance with the BRN rules and regulations. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Tricia. BRN moderator, would you take us to public comment?
We will be opening for public comment now. Please refer to the screen share for members of the public to see how they should type in their request for comment. I've activated the question and answer feature. Members of the public can indicate they would like to make a comment by typing into the question box, "I would like to make a comment." Please remember, you will have 2 minutes to make your comments. I will not give a reminder as your time approaches. I do not want to interrupt you nor cause you to lose your train of thought. I will mute your microphone and inform you that your time has expired, and we'll move on to the next member of the public. I'll pause for a moment for members of the public. Type in, I would like to make a comment. Committee Chair Dominguez, there are no public requests for comment. Would you like me to close this window?
Yes, please. I, Jovita, votes yes. President Trujillo?
I vote yes.
And Trisha Wynn?
Wynn, yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Moving on to agenda item 8.7.
Marianne, before we move to 8.7,
Sure.
I would like to request that we take a 5-minute bio break.
Why don't we make it 12 minutes and we'll come back at 2:45.
All right.
And I believe we have to take roll call. President Dolores Trujillo? I
Yeah,
believe.
establish a quorum.
Okay, and you're present. Trisha Wynn?
Here.
And Marianne McCarthy?
I'm here.
And Reza?
I'm here, though neither, excuse me,
He doesn't need
neither Marianne nor I count towards a quorum.
Oh, okay. Well, we meet quorum. Shall we continue, Marianne?
Check to make sure Lori's back. We do want to check.
Oh.
You did
Oh,
the right
sorry.
thing. I think we do want to make sure that Reza and Lori are here.
Reza's here and
here.
Lori. I see Lori.
Both
Okay,
of us are here.
perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you. Marianne, would you please continue?
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Agenda item 8.7, discussion and possible action regarding the acceptance of a substantive change to an approved program. 8.7.1 is Unitech College Baccalaureate Degree Nursing Program. The Bakersfield campus is asking for an enrollment increase. The information about Bakersfield starts on Unitech Bakersfield is starting on page 87 of your packet. And board moderator, if you could please elevate the presenters on the list for Unitech. So Unitech Bakersfield campus is requesting an enrollment increase in collaboration with Community Health Systems in Fresno, California. Fresno is located about 120 miles away from the Bakersfield campus, and they are in this partnership to help support workforce planning and partnership to bring more nurses to the Fresno area. They're requesting 25 new students to be enrolled 3 times a year for a total of 75 new students annually to directly support community healthcare systems. This will bring their total enrollment of the Bakersfield campus to from 200 to 275 students annually. The proposed start date is September of 23. The agenda item summary starts on page 87, and it has the details. There's also the data. Fresno is in Region 6, and so there is a data sheet that shows enrollment in, changes and increases for Unitech and also for that region. The program representatives are here should you have any questions.
I do, as a matter of fact. Who am I addressing?
This is
I
Abdel
believe-
Yusuf.
Oh, Abdel, you're here. Awesome.
Yeah, I'm here. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And Dr. Stephanie Robinson is also here. Can you hear me?
Yes,
we can hear you. Thank you so much.
thank you.
Good.
So is this a permanent enrollment increase, or is it just for this
Yes.
partnership?
It's permanent for this partnership. This community health hospital system has 500 RN vacancy and has about 150 nurses are retiring in the next few years.
Oh my.
So this would be 25 students per start 3 times a year. and they will be employees of this healthcare system who will be advancing if they're CNAs, LVNs, or any allied health personnel, or even any staff member in the hospital will benefit from this program, from the scholarship that we provide and the community health provides.
Okay. So you're operating your clinicals in conjunction with CHS? I'm sorry, it was difficult for me to.
It's okay. Community medical providers, yes, they're working with them. And I did make a visit. So even though Bakersfield is 120 miles away, these students are in the community health system. They will be living in Fresno. They work in Fresno. They have all, community has set up all the resources they need as far as anything they could possibly need. Simulation, skills, classrooms, the whole 9 yards.
So the theory, if I can add, the theory will be delivered on distance learning and on-ground or on-site testing for major exams will be conducted at community health. And as Dr. McCarthy said, all the skills and the clinical will be conducted on-site with the community health hospital system and the different educational centers they have.
Okay. So your clinicals are going to be held in Fresno.
Fresno, that is correct.
And then your theory will be in Bakersfield?
It'll be virtual.
Virtual.
With computer on-ground access for any examinations will be on ground.
And what about didactic in a lab or none of
Yeah,
that?
they have the skills. They have the mannequins, they have simulation equipment, and that has all been checked out and fully available at Community Health Systems, 3 different sites in Fresno, California.
Okay. Is this a temporary partnership?
We hope not. We hope it continues on, but we will certainly keep the board updated. And I know the Chief Nursing Officer, Danny Davis, or his counterpart, Heather Rodriguez, will be on for comments if you'd like them to jump in later on for questions or comments.
Yeah, they will be in public comment, Dolores.
Okay.
Thanks. I had a question, Dolores, if you're done.
Sure.
Is this a 4-year program or a 2-year program?
We are a 3-year program. Our first year is general education online, and then we use nursing core courses in year 2 and year 3. So it's a 3-year program. We do not take the summers off. We take 2 weeks off around the Christmas holiday and then pick back up in January.
Well, I was looking at the total program cost of $138,000, which is high. And then the NCLEX pass rates, they're not that impressive. I mean, they're in the 70 percentile, 75%, 78%. What are you doing to address that?
And I can speak about the price first. This partnership actually gives about 50% tuition as a scholarship between what we provide and community health program. So students come with various educational backgrounds. Some of them have associate degree, so we give them credit granting for all their previous education. So this program could be in the as low as in the about 48K for some students, 48,000 for some students, and maybe maximum 68,000. So the 137 is the published tuition, which is for the public and for the Bakersfield campus. But when it comes to partnership, we both, the hospital and the system, we both together participate, support the students. Now, in regard to the NCLEX, our annual pass rate published last year is 84%. And our last quarter was 79. And we expect this year to end with 81.5. So we're still holding the pass rate. And Dr. Robinson and Dr. Hennessy can speak about the strategy that we are working on to improve the pass rate.
Yes, we did a wonderful demonstration to Marianne McCarthy on how we actually monitor our content mastery series exams with ATI. And we have a data repository that actually looks at that, 48 hours after they take that content mastery exam. And then we can go back and make remediation of course content so that they are able to have knowledge of what that is so that they can do well with the pass rates. And as we have implemented this process, we have NCLEX success specialists that are registered nurses that work with students who need more information on how to improve on their content so that we move them forward with an understanding of what that is so that they can be successful when they take their professional licensure for the NCLEX. Over the last 3 periods, we have seen a steady increase in our performance, and it's only it's getting better. And we are projecting over a 90% pass rate. That'll be for our next NCLEX calendar year, which would be 23-24. So we have a full plan. We know we're going to be making improvements, and so we take it very seriously, and we're seeing success in our hard work and our efforts.
Thank you.
I see one more person has joined us, Christy Hennessy.
Hi, good afternoon. I'm Dr. Hennessy, and I was just here to add any additional comments if questions were needed for NCLEX performance.
Okay, thank you.
This is Jovita. So if I understood the gentleman, let's say I'm a student that's been doing prereqs at an established community college, and I'm pretty much done with my general ed. You would definitely take those credits, correct?
That's correct. Yes, we evaluate the recency policy for general education and science courses and even nursing courses. And based on this recency policy, if science is 5 years, general education is I think 15 years, and nursing is I think 3 years or so. But we give credit. We have a team that does evaluate the transcript, and we give credit, which means that waives tuition. And most of the students, by the way, who are waiting, or we have the same partnership with Sierra View and Kuya in that region. And most of the students came who have been waiting on the waiting list for community colleges for many years. And they came to us and they got almost a full year of tuition, all the general science. And they started nursing right away. And we call those advanced placement because they jumped into year 2. In 2 years, they have a bachelor in nursing and they were set for the NCLEX. Thank you.
Any other of the board members have questions or comments?
I can't recall in the reading, it says the Bakersfield campus for a total enrollment of, could you help me with the number?
Their total enrollment, I believe now is with this, it's 200, and with this would be 275 because they want to start 3 cohorts a year.
Okay.
25, so 75.
Cohort. You know, Jovita, if you don't mind, I'd like to make a comment.
Yes, please, because
myself, I'm in favor of recommending acceptance of this change for a year. And at the end of that year, if they are still in a partnership with
Community.
Community health system.
Yeah, community, I was going to say CHA, but CHS in Fresno, then they can come back and ask us for a continuance. But at the moment that partnership ends, that they revert back to their original enrollment. We just gave them an increase, I think a year or two ago, I believe. Let me look back on the AIS. So they would revert back to that number that they were originally approved for their enrollment increase.
The 200 annual enrollment.
200.
Can I add a comment related to that?
Just 7 months ago, Dolores, our board approved them in November of 2022. They went from 120 to 200 annually.
Yeah.
With an increase of 80. So that was just, approximately 6-7 months ago. This is, I don't know that I would do a 1-year cap on this, just throwing it out there because it is a 2-year, it's a 3-year program, correct? And
Yes,
so
3 year.
you would want to at least see that kind of to play out.
So would we say until this first cohort goes through, or?
I think the concern here that you're bringing up is that they're a Bakersfield campus and this is a Fresno location.
I am.
So that, I think that would be easily addressed by saying that this 75 increase that they're asking for is specific for the partnership of CHS and them in Fresno. And that when that partnership absolves and they go back to the 200 approved enrollment at the Bakersfield campus, and they no longer have enrollments in the Fresno area. And that if they wanted to do something different past that, they would have to come back in front of the board. To limit it to a 1 year or a 2 year or a 3 year, that is completely at the discretion of the board. And you guys can do that, and having that they come back and check in at a year, or they check in at 2 years, or they reassess where you're at with this. That's always an option as well. But to more specifically address your concern of the location and the reason for this increase versus just giving them a global enrollment increase of 75, it would be 75 to work with CHS at the Fresno location as part of the specific agreement. And then when that absolves, it reverts back to 200.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah, I had a comment, Dr. McCarthy.
Sure, go ahead.
The agreement we signed with Community Health is a 6 years agreement to provide these seats for their employees. And based on the number of vacancies they have, and the turnover, and we can hear from the chief nursing officers, if you would like to see their commitment to the program. And we respectfully ask to look at the agreement signed and actually hear from them as their commitment to prepare the nurses for their hospital, for their community. But Dr. McCarthy visited, and she was able to meet with the chief nurse officer and the nursing leaders and see their commitment, how much they are supportive to their staff to get this opportunity and become nurses. But the agreement with them is 6 years agreement. Thank you.
Abdel, I think what I'm hearing, and Lori and Dolores are going to correct me if I'm wrong, but I think what I'm hearing is that they're okay with the agreement of 75, 3 times a year, 75 annually, as long as it's in Fresno. So whenever, and I think they're probably going to ask you to come back and talk about how it's going or have progress reports or whatever, but they're not, I don't think they're going to put any, and I could be wrong, but it doesn't sound to me at this moment that we're putting any restrictions on your agreement. It's simply that, let's say in 6 years you don't renew, or in 3 years you decide they don't have any, they don't have the need anymore, that you will not absorb these 75 students in the Bakersfield campus.
Exactly.
It will end, and then you will have to come back if you want to do a different enrollment increase. I believe that's what Dolores is.
And that's totally fine. We appreciate that. these seats will be dedicated to Fresno.
Yes.
And yeah, absolutely. If this agreement for any reason gets discontinued, we can go back to our normal agreement, like the bachelor we already established in Bakersfield. So those seats would be dedicated for the Fresno area. Thank you.
The 75. And you have faculty lined up for this?
Yes, Stephanie can
Yes,
speak
we
about
do.
faculty.
Okay. Yeah, so
Dolores,
at the
So
moment,
the first year is general education, that's online. Those faculty are already designated. As we move to year 2 for the nursing core, and that would be skills and clinical placements, we will have already hired BSN faculty for that second year. So we have time to be able to get them onboarded and ready to go for year 2.
great.
And then Dolores, he did share that it was a 6-year contract. If you did want to put a time frame on it, you could say that this is approved for 6 years. So you could say it's approved for 6 years and they come back at year 3. You can say it's approved for 3 years and reevaluate to extend for 3 years. The board has the ultimate ability to make that decision based on any concerns or possible check-ins that they might want.
I'm thinking a check-in of at least 3 years. Although the NEC
that would allow for probably the first graduating class because it is a program, so we would have some pretty decent data at that point to evaluate.
So
I'm glad you brought this up, Dolores. I like the way you're thinking about this.
Thank you.
Would we ask for yearly progress reports or no?
You absolutely could.
We do report on a yearly basis.
If you want to.
There are yearly progress reports that are required as an alternative site, and we would be doing that, and it's reported July 1st of every year.
So,
and that's to the accreditors, is that correct? That's not specifically to the BRN?
It's to the BRN. It's a BRN requirement.
We have asked for that. If you remember, Lori, that was something that was in our handbook, and we didn't. I apologize, Stephanie, if I gave you the wrong impression. It's not required, meaning it's not in regulation, but we do ask, and it's very helpful that we get an annual report because we put that into our progress notes in October, November of every year, but it is not required by the BRN.
Correct, that is a request.
This is a little bit of a different request, and this partnership, I would like to see yearly reports.
Okay.
And that changes it from a request to a requirement.
Yeah, the board, yes. Thank you. That's true.
But yeah, I wish you success in this partnership. We'll have to do a motion.
Yes.
Thank you.
That's a great partnership to bring nurses where they're needed. So, Jovita, do you want to make the motion, or would you like me to make the motion?
Would you be kind to make the motion?
Sure. So I would like to make the motion to recommend acceptance of substantive change requests to an approved program, enrollment increase of 25 students per quarter or cohort. Quarter? Are they on a quarter system?
No, it's going to be 25 students 3 times a year.
3 times a year, yeah. In Fresno, California, for Unitech College Baccalaureate Degree Nursing Program, the Bakersfield campus, for a total enrollment number of 275, with the caveat that we just added on that this will be for the partnership that exists between Unitech College, Bakersfield campus, and CHS. And when that partnership dissolves, they go back to their original enrollment number of 200 per year.
And Jovita seconds.
Thank you.
BRN moderator, would you take us to public comment?
We will be opening for public comment now. Please refer to the screen share for members of the public to see how they should type in their request for comment. I've activated the question and answer feature. Members of the public can indicate they would like to make a comment by typing into the question box, "I would like to make a comment." Please remember, you will have 2 minutes to make your comments. I will not give a reminder as your time approaches. I do not want to interrupt you nor cause you to lose your train of thought. I will mute your microphone and inform you that your time has expired, and we'll move on to the next member of the public. I'll pause for a moment for members of the public to type in, "I would like to make a comment." Marie Gilbert would like to make a comment. 1 second, please. Go ahead, Ms. Gilbert.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Excellent, thank you. Thank you for the opportunity for comment. My name is Dr. Marie Gilbert, and I am the director at the Central California Center for Excellence in Nursing. A shortage of clinical placements is, as we know, a frequent bottleneck for program expansions. And the Central Valley shares similar issues as other regions, and I want to recognize that student impaction and displacement is a concern in our region. We have a long history of a regional academic service partnership that consists of all nursing programs and clinical sites. It meets monthly, and we identify issues and solutions. We've addressed many challenges and barriers, and it's been essential at times of crisis, particularly during the pandemic and more recently with the closure of Madeira Community Hospital and the loss of clinical sites for several of our programs. And our partnership's grounded in collaboration and transparency. When we heard about the UniTech proposal, we reached out to Dr. Yosef to learn more. Dr. Yosef and his team have been responsive and collegial. They've hosted an academic forum inviting leadership from nursing programs, and they've also attended an academic service partnership meeting and shared information. Community Health Systems is the largest health system in Fresno. They are active and engaged in our academic service partnership, and in the last year have supported over 2,000 student placements. Forecasting student placement availability isn't an exact science, and UniTech and Community have both demonstrated a commitment to creating non-conflicting clinical placement schedules and collaborating closely with academic programs in the region. Our hope is that their collaboration and transparency continues and that the Central Valley can carry on working collaboratively to ensure non-displacement, equity, and quality experiences for our nursing students. And thank you for the opportunity to comment.
Thank you for your comment. Danny Davis would like to make a comment. 1 second, please.
Good afternoon. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. My name is Danny Davis. I am the System Chief Nursing Officer for Community Health Systems, and I just wanted to take a quick moment to express our thanks for you, for the chair, as well as the Dr. McCarthy and other board members to listen to UniTech's proposal and partnership with us. It's greatly appreciated, and it's a need for our valley. It definitely will go a long way to the previous comments made as well. Help retain and keep our nurses in the valley versus them leaving our area to go to schools other locations. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Committee Chair Dominguez, there are no other public requests for comment. Would you like me to close this window?
Yes, please. Thank you. I, Jovita Dominguez, votes yes. President Trujillo.
Jovita?
Oh, sorry.
I'm sorry. Can I just interrupt? I just want to make sure, Dolores, with your motion, that you do want that annual progress report.
Yes, I do.
Okay. I'm just going to make sure that that's in there with everything else. Thank you.
Thank you, Marianne. Thank you, Marianne. Jovita votes yes. President Trujillo.
Dolores votes yes.
And Trisha Wynn.
Wynn, yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Moving on to agenda. You're welcome. 8.7.2, discussion and possible action regarding acceptance of a substantive change to an approved program. This is also an enrollment increase by American Career College Associate Degree Nursing Program. All the information in your packet starts on page 96 for American Career. And board moderator, if you could please elevate the presenters on the list for American Career. American Career College requests a singular substantive change with an enrollment increase at their 2 campuses, one located in Los Angeles, one located in Ontario. This request is in cooperation with 10 employers of LVNs who are ready to enter an LVN to RN program. The employers are committed to the provision of clinical sites in all areas of content as indicated in the executive summary. The current and requested enrollment patterns are on the AIS, you guys, on page 96. Again, American Career is a little complicated, so I want you to look at what's written out. And region 8 is the region that we're looking at, and the data is on page 96. The program representatives are here and are happy to address any concerns you might have. Thank you.
And then just for clarification, you're looking at 2 enrollment increase requests for ACC. They've requested a increase in the LA campus and they've requested an increase in the Ontario campus. The LA campus is region 8. You'll see that on 98. The Ontario campus is in region 7. You will see that on page 99. The LA campus is essentially a continuation. If you can see on the data sheets that were provided on 98, American Career College had a approved increase, but it was for 2 years only. It was from 150 to 170 annual increase of 10 times 2 for 2 years only. That is ending this year, so they were approved for 22 and 23. The LA campus request does not change that. It's not an increase necessarily to that area. It would just continue that. The difference in that is the prior was an increase of 30, and I think this one is an increase of 40. So they're asking 20, right? 20 and an increase of
25.
Sorry. So it is a few more students. The board may consider keeping it to what it was originally approved from, which was the 150 to 170 annually. It's to do this. And so that would be a 20 increase for the LA campus that would have no other impact to that area because that LA is inundated. And that would just extend it for the additional year. You could consider that the ask is for 15 students 3 times a year. They already have the approval for 20, so it's only increasing by 10 in that LA area. So that's something that you guys can look at. And I'd ask you guys to separate these motions. One for the LA campus, consider that, take that into consideration, and then do a second motion for the Ontario campus. Since these are both confusing asks. The Ontario request is for 15 students 2 times a year, 1 time only as well, just in year 2024. And you can see the data below for that. The Inland Empire Region 7, it does have a very large growth recently. They are asking for 1 year only, so that is something that the board can consider. And that 1 year only increase, the reason I point that out is that they are able to increase this, get them through the program. This is a associate degree program. It's typically a 2-year program. They can be in and out before some of the new schools that were just approved to start up in that area start and hit the clinical placements. And so Marshall Forest had a new campus. Westmont has a new college, a new program completely. Angeles is a new program completely. Stanbridge is a new campus, just kind of going back through that. So you guys can consider that separately. So there are 2 requests here under this one agenda item. So if you want to take LA first, that'd be appreciated. And then go to Ontario, that would be easiest for our board staff to be able to track.
So is this a 1 a 1-year increase or a permanent increase for
1 year.
1 year?
1 year.
Okay.
So, and again, and like Lori said, the LA campus is, would be extended, or the one that they've already got started would extend because it's coming to an end.
Yeah, that's the LA campus. They had a prior approval there of from 150 to 170, so they increased by 20. This is a request to go to 45. So it is 25 more students than what we had approved. So that is something that our board can consider and taking that into consideration because it is the LA area and we have denied enrollment increases in this LA area based on clinical impaction. It was difficult to get approval on 2 of the more recent programs. I think one was an 88 approval and one was an 18. And so there has been some denials, understanding that in Stanbridge was denied to increase by 20 in the LA area to be able to restart their ADN program there. And so if we are to continue this one, which was a 20 increase, increasing that additional 25 is in conflict with what the board decided with Stanbridge. Yep. Additionally, American Career College came in asking for an increase in February of 100. And so this would be a increase. And of course, they were denied for that 100 increase. And so this is an alternative for them.
And we've seen a lot of growth in the Ontario area also.
Correct. There are 2 data sheets in the materials. 98 shows the growth of the LA region, and 99 shows the growth of the Ontario region. The LA region has had a 1,334 student placements open up in the last 5 years. And in the Ontario is 1,368 open up in the last 5 years. So both areas have grown fairly similar throughout that. They are located next to each other when you're looking on a map, east to west. And so that is also something to take into consideration because the last couple board meetings we pulled up like the regional maps and kind of showed how when they can't get placements in the LA area, they start expanding over into the Ontario Riverside area, down into the Orange County, San Diego area. San Diego's doing the same thing. So that region is pretty impacted where these requests are coming into. But again, the consideration is it's a 1 year as well. So that's another thing to take into consideration. It's not an ongoing request.
Any comments or questions from other committee members?
It's just hard to gauge and see if they can, if we won't be impacting even more, even though it's just on a 2-year request.
Yeah, I agree completely. I mean, we have been turning down these requests because, some of the smaller schools that are serving, students of lesser means are being displaced. It would be hard for me to vote for this, for either LA or Ontario.
Yeah. The one thing with the LA is we do have the opportunity to continue as is. And as is 20 for an additional year versus the 45 that's requested. Because they have been enrolling the additional 20 students the last 2 years as previously board approved. So that would have a neutral impact to the area. It would not be an increase because that 20 expires this year. And they could have that 20 for next year with a neutral impact. It would just continue that original request for an additional year. The Ontario campus, that is different. Of course, if you were to consider the additional 25 that they're asking for to increase to 45, that is impact. And as Tricia said, it'd be very difficult to vote for that.
I would be inclined to continue the LA campus, I'm having hesitancy with the Ontario campus.
Would you put that in a motion, Dolores?
Is there anyone else that has any thoughts toward this?
Well, I would be willing, I hadn't thought of that, but when Lori mentioned that, I mean, you're right, the impact has already occurred. So I would be willing to continue that for one more year, but without an increase.
And I would also support that.
And I would like to just ask if you would like to hear from the program.
Yes.
Julie?
Yes, hi, thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. I want to clarify, I want to thank you first for taking the time to review our request. And I just want to explain that this request is in relation to a partnership with 10 clinical partners that they have current LVNs that they want to upskill to be RNs. And so they have partnered along with us to give their LVNs an opportunity for an RN education. And in turn, these 10 facilities located in the Los Angeles area and the Ontario area have agreed to provide the clinical rotations for these students on weekends. They have also, we will split the cohorts into 2 groups. So they'll do, group A and group B on the weekends. And they have confirmed that this placement on the weekends would not displace nursing students from any other school. So these students, if approved, would actually be coming from these 10 clinical partners for their own LVNs to upskill themselves to be RNs.
Now, is this a 1-year program from LVN to RN, or is it a 2-year?
It would be 17 months.
Okay, we'll say 18.
But Julie, just to confirm, you're gonna enroll them just for 1 year. I mean, meaning you're gonna bring new students in for 1 year.
That's correct.
And then they'll finish out in their 18 months or 17 months, but you're only going to enroll a limited amount of students.
That is correct.
Just for additional clarification, that previous approval where they increased from 150 to 170 was for an LVN to RN step up. So it would be consistent in the LVN to RN. So that's not shortening the impact or changing the impact. If you were to stay with the 20, that would continue it to be a neutral impact. If they were asking for 45 generic students, that would be an increased impact because of the increased need of clinical placements and the increased length of program. So if the board were to consider keeping it as a neutral impact, the neutral impact would be for 20 annually with the LVN to RN as the student population.
And it's an LVN to RN also for the Ontario campus, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. For myself, I'm still inclined to keep it neutral for the LA campus.
Jovita will support.
Me too. That would be to recommend a substantive change request to the approved nursing program enrollment of 20 at the LA, 20 LVN to RN step-ups at the LA campus for American Career College Associate Degree Nursing Program for a total enrollment to be sustained at 170 annually for 1 year. And when that expires, it would go back to the 150 annual enrollment that it previously was approved for prior to giving these single year extensions.
That's exactly what I'm asking for.
Thank you. Well put. I would second, Jovita.
Okay, so do we want to do both? Do we want to then make a motion for the second part and then go to public comment for both? Or
I would like that.
Okay, so let's talk about the second one then, which is the Ontario campus.
And I know there's concerns about impacting Ontario since it's increased many students already.
Yeah. Is this already in place also on the Ontario campus?
This is a brand new request.
Okay.
The Ontario campus is a a newer campus location that was just approved in 2021. They do use the consortium. There is definitely starting to be an impact, but that impact has not been as vocalized or brought forward as much as what we're hearing in the LA, Irvine, Orange County kind of area. So this one has not been as vocal yet, but it is something that our board should keep kind of an eye on, because our direction over the past few years were to look at the Inland Valley, look at the Inland Empire, and look at the Riverside, Ontario location, because that's really where we were kind of needing some program growth to support. And we had several legislative staffers reach out in support of program growth. They had the community leaders in Ontario and such reaching out for program growth. So it was needed, and the board directed to that. And we've had an amazing follow through with that, with programs growing into that area. So at this point, people are not screaming we're incredibly impacted yet, but that is definitely a consideration for this. And so with this being a one-year ask, that may be a safe bet for the board to take when looking at this, because it is not an ongoing enrollment approval. They would have to come back and ask and show information to the board, et cetera, if they wanted to ask this to be extended or made permanent.
So this would be a one-year ask.
It is a one-year ask just for the year of 2024 to enroll. And it is 15 students twice a year. It is only 30 students into this area. And then they would revert back to the currently approved of 25 students 5 times a year. That would equal the annual enrollment of 125.
The board feel about just doing it for 1 year and bringing it back to the table?
Yeah,
If that's what the committee decided to do, I mean, it does feel like kind of a baby step. It's not an awful lot of students. It is for 1 year. We could re-examine it at that time. I was inclined to not support this motion, but I would be willing to go along with it if that's the pleasure of the committee.
So we would keep LA at a neutral stance and approve the 1 year increase to the Ontario campus. Is that what I'm hearing, Tricia?
So yes. You would make a motion for the 15 students twice a year to equal 30 for one time only. The other thing to take into consideration here is an LVN to RN step up. Typically, and I don't know their curriculum specific, but your program director, Julie, can answer that. Typically, the LVN to RNs do not take a pediatrics rotation or an obstetrics rotation in clinicals. They do typically have a mental health and a psych rotation. So when we're looking at where our clinicals are most impacted, those are in our specialty areas, which are OBs and psych mental health. So the other thing to consider with this LVN to RN step up is if they're not taking Peds and OB, that doesn't have that impact in those really coveted specialty areas. That the one specialty area that they would have the impact in, which would be in psych. And that MedSurg and Jerry tend to be easier clinical rotations to find, but we can confirm with Julie if that's what their curriculum is for the LVN to RN step-ups. Do they have OB and Peds clinicals, or is that something they're getting credit in for their 1 year entry?
We are going to have OB and Peds, and we do have the commitments from partners to support this.
Okay. So scratch that consideration. There are some programs that choose not to have OB and Peds and give credit for their LVN education for that. This program does not. That just further shows that each one of our programs have completely independent curriculums and do what they think the evidence and that community needs in order to be successful.
Yeah, so we keep LA at a neutral and we go ahead and approve Ontario for 1 year.
So the LA motion's on the table with the first and second. So you would then motion to accept the substantive change request to an approved program enrollment increase of 30 students, one time only, of LVN to RN step-ups at the Ontario campus for American Career College Associate Degree Nursing Program for a total enrollment of the
125.
25, I believe. Is that what it is?
I'm looking at the mobility that's being offered for LVNs to step up into an RN role.
Yep.
And I commend that. So yes, that's how I look at it.
So is that your motion?
That's my motion.
I'll second that.
Thank you.
I also have a quick announcement. I'm running out of gas on my computer and it's not charging for some reason, so I'm switching to my phone.
Okay.
I'm going to be on my phone, WebEx. So anyway, thank you for your understanding.
And only 2 agenda items after this, Tricia. We're whipping through this.
Thank you.
Thank you. So we have a first and a second on both of these motions.
Yes. We can go to public comment.
Yes, BRN moderator, would you take us to public comment, please?
We will be opening for public comment now. Please refer to the screen share for members of the public to see how they should type in their request for comment. I've activated the question and answer feature. Members of the public can indicate they would like to make a comment by typing into the question box, "I would like to make a comment." Please remember, you will have 2 minutes to make your comments. I would like to give a reminder as your time approaches. I do not want to interrupt you nor cause you to lose your train of thought. I will mute your microphone and inform you that your time has expired, and we'll move on to the next member of the public. I'll pause for a moment for members of the public to type in, "I would like to make a comment." Ashley Lara would like to make a comment. 1 second, please.
Everybody. It is a pleasure to be here in this meeting. My name is Ashley Lara, and I've been a practicing LVN for 10 years. I am currently enrolled in ACC's ADN program with the significant financial assistance from my employer. And I am asking for your support of this application so that other LVNs like myself can have this incredible opportunity. In high school, I thought I would follow my mother into teaching, but my call to nursing began around age 19 when my father was diagnosed with cancer. As the oldest of 4, I was the one who spent a lot of time with him in the hospital. I became very fond of the nurses and felt comfortable there assisting them with different tasks. And it was a very natural environment for me. After he passed, I decided to become an LVN. My specialty is in women's health in our low-income communities. I am also fluent in Spanish, which allows me to serve some of our most vulnerable patients. A patient who I will never forget was too scared to go to the doctor from past trauma, but her gynecological issues were unbearable. Speaking with her in Spanish allowed her to be vulnerable, cry, and be seen. From that point of cultural competency, I was able to get her the care she needed and have a fully functioning life. As an RN, I will continue to serve women and advocate for their rights and ability to understand their choices, regardless of their language or income. I realized over the past couple of years, being mentored by great providers, that I need to go back to school for my ADN, but it was tough to do with 3 young children. However, this opportunity for an employer-sponsored education was the moment I had been waiting for. My dream is to become a certified nurse midwife and have my own clinic someday. Earning my RN is the first step towards that goal, and I urge you to support this application so that others can also achieve their dreams and we can help more people.
Thank you for your comment. Colleen Bauer would like to make a comment. 1 second, please. Colleen, you've been sent an unmute request.
Hi, my name is Colleen.
Colleen, you have to speak up.
Can you hear me?
Barely.
Yeah, barely.
Oh, really? Oh, that's not good. It says
Right
I'm
there.
Okay.
Right there.
Hi, I'm Colleen Bauer. I'm the CNO at Community Hospital of Huntington Park. We are a very small safety net hospital here in LA that supports a primarily 90% Spanish speaking community. We have many LVNs here at our hospital that have stayed with us for some time who have not gone back to school because of so many reasons, mainly because of the inability to get to school and try to work at the same time. So with this opportunity that we're being given to have more availability at the LA campus with American Career College, I was super excited to hear that we could have some of our LVNs go back to school and be supported in their time and be supported by American Career College at the same time. So I've talked to many of them that I have in both ED and Med-Surg and Tele, and I have so many that would love this opportunity to go back to school. So I fully support American Career College in expanding the amount of availability that they have. We have a very difficult time keeping nurses, and the ones that have been here as LVNs, I know that they would stay as RNs. And I would just appreciate the opportunity to be able to give them that. So thank you to the board and for listening to me today. Oh, did want to say it won't change anything about the weekends or displace any other school by us doing this program for our hospital. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment.
I hope you.
Juan Carlos would like to make a comment. 1 second, please.
Yes, good afternoon.
Yes, sir.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good afternoon. Yes, my name is Juan Carlos Villagomez, and I'm practicing LVN and a student at the ADM program here at ACC. My employer, Ultimate Health Services, is sponsoring me to earn my RN degree at no cost. I ask that you support this application so that other LVNs can have this opportunity as well. My path to nursing is similar to many of my colleagues. My parents immigrated here from Mexico, and I'm fortunate to be bilingual. I graduated from high school with no clear direction, yet knowing I wanted to be in a community, to be a community helper. I studied public safety, but was curious and intrigued by health sciences. My aunt encouraged me to take a step forward as a CNA to see if nursing was for me. I loved it, and I have now been an LVN for a decade. I'm also a preceptor, so I can pass on my knowledge and transition to practice for new LVNs. Being able to speak Spanish and identify with the communities I serve is what motivates me. As an LVN, I serve low-income and Latino communities. I am often tasked with translating clear directions, medication routines, and general information for my Spanish-speaking patients. It makes a huge difference in patients' outcomes. There's a lot of patients that don't have family to advocate and comfort them, and this is so important to have to heal. Their emotions say it all, that we are making a difference when I see them smile because they are understood. I can't wait to be an RN so I can increase my scope of practice and bring my decades of experiences to the bedside. I have experience in my departments, including psychiatric health, but disease prevention is my passion. Our communities are at risk for a number of diseases, and understanding them and how to help patients avoid them is my main focus. My career has also inspired my family members. I now have 4 cousins who are now nurses. We have become a healthcare family. This opportunity to achieve my RN is life-changing, and is just the next step in continuing my education. So please approve this application so more working LVNs can also have the same opportunity as me. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment.
Thank you. Board moderator, how many more public comments do we have on this item?
1.
Just one more? Okay,
One.
thank you so much. Yeah, I just
Alex?
wanted to make sure that I know that the students, we love hearing your testimonials. They're great to hear. But the motion was to approve. So as soon as we can get that vote in and get that motion to approve, that's a step closer to you guys getting what you want and what you're asking for. So thank you guys for sharing your stories.
Alice Marta Nagara would like to make a comment. 1 second, please.
Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Alice Montanagara, and I am speaking on behalf of both Golden West College and Santa Ana College. Mary Steckler, who is the Associate Dean and Director of Nursing for Santa Ana College, could not be here, but we would like to express to oppose the increase of enrollment for the LA campus because they had listed that Foothill Regional, which is a pediatric hospital in Orange County, in Tustin, Orange County, is being utilized by the LA campus as one of their clinical placements for pediatrics. Now, Santa Ana College has recently lost a clinical placement on a Saturday and was replaced by an LVN program, according to the hospital facility representatives, per Mary Steckler. And she's very concerned that this impacts her program. We are both in support to help our LVNs become RNs. However, if we could ask that the college or the university would just decrease their enrollment in regular ADN programs for the traditional RN students and add the LVNs into those seats rather than increasing enrollment and impacting and displacing other schools from their clinical placements. And now the hospital is asking Santa Ana College to go into to just wait for another clinical placement. And we believe that this is unfair to our students in our own region with our own local hospitals in our county. And so therefore we ask that Los Angeles schools or any schools located in other cities or other counties do not come to Orange County for their clinical placement. Thank you.
Laura, you're on mute.
Thank you for your comment.
Thank you. Alice, thank you for that comment. One thing I hope that you're able to hear is that our board chose to do a neutral impact. They did not do an increase in the LA area, that they just maintained the current enrollment that ACC had that accommodated the 20 LVN to RN step-ups already part of the kind of clinical makeup for the last 2 years. So the board did hear that. The one thing that I do want to kind of tag on to what Alice brought up is I know that we have these healthcare institutions where they're saying that they are not displacing any current students. And although that might be completely accurate, the one thing that we did hear today with our continuing approval visits is the community colleges that were brought to those said that they were voluntarily decreasing or stopping enrollment because they didn't have the resources to do that. And so our community colleges were forced to enroll less than what they're approved to enroll by our BRN. The other thing is when Joanne Spetz was on at the last board meeting, she mentioned that as part of her review process of the data that came in, they wanted to look at why schools were not enrolling what the BRN had approved them to enroll. And they were, in fact, they were enrolling less than what the BRN had approved. And so even though we do have healthcare facilities saying they're not currently displacing by making these partnerships, it is important to note they could be helping by making those partnerships with programs that have an increased enrollment already approved, but they're not able to enroll the number because they don't have the clinical and faculty to support that. And so there is a bill that you guys did vote on that's going through right now that would ask for healthcare facilities, specifically right now it's hospitals, that would make community colleges a priority clinical placement over the private universities and colleges to ensure that those are protected. If that goes through, that would be implemented in January. And so I just want to kind of always provide this additional guidance and education that even though these healthcare facilities are saying they're not currently displacing a clinical partnership, that they could be making clinical partnerships with the community colleges that are having to close, that are having to stop enrollments as reported today, and are having to decrease enrollments because they can't make them. So just as Alice said, Mary Steckler wasn't here. She just lost a pediatric clinical site. That could have been something that could have been maybe offered, but I think that the board did take all that consideration in when they made that motion, and you guys did choose to make a neutral effect on the LA area by just continuing what was already there. So thank you guys for that consideration.
Thank you for your comment. Committee Chair Dominguez, there are no other public requests for comment. Would you like me to close this window?
Yes, please. Thank you. And I'd like to take it for a vote. I, Jovita, votes yes. President Trujillo?
Are we doing one motion at a time, or are we doing vote for both right now?
We could vote for both the Ontario and the LA at once, but it just has to be clear that that's what they're doing. And if somebody wants to vote separately, please state whether it's for the LA or the Ontario.
So I, Jovita, vote yes for both LA and Ontario. President Trujillo?
I vote yes to keep LA at a neutral number, and yes to the 1-year increase for Ontario.
Thank you. And then Trisha Nguyen? She might be having some difficulty.
She was going to go on her phone.
She did. Let's see if she is in the attendees list. Board moderator, can you see if you can find her? And Mary Steckler is on now, it looks like. But let me see if we can find Trisha.
Trisha, are you able to unmute yourself?
Star 6, is that correct?
She's on her phone and she's on.
Yeah.
Oh, there
Yeah,
she is.
so I'm voting yes on both motions. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Trisha.
Thank you.
Thank you. Motion carries. Thank you.
All right, here we go. 8.8, agenda item 8.8, discussion and possible action regarding a feasibility study for a new pre-licensure nursing program. 8.8.1 is High Desert Medical College, Lancaster Associate Degree Nursing Program. The information on this new feasibility study starts on page 107 of your packet. And board moderator, if you could please elevate the presenters on the list for High Desert. High Desert has submitted a feasibility study to begin a pre-licensure associate degree nursing program. The Lancaster campus is located 60 miles north of the city of Los Angeles. Lancaster is on the edge of Los Angeles County and it borders Kern County. Lancaster and Palmdale are the two largest cities in the greater Antelope Valley area. Their enrollment pattern request is for 30 generic students starting in January of 2024. And then in January of 2025, they want to request admission of 30 generic and 20 advanced placement LVN to RN students annually, ongoing, moving forward. So they would have 50 new students annually after the initial year of 30 in 2024. The agenda item summary is again on page 107. And there are details on page 111 that talk about the regions 6 and 8, which are the two regions that I talked about, Los Angeles County and bordering Kern County. There are program representatives here should you have any questions. Thank you.
And then just a reminder to board members, this is a feasibility study. What this means is that potential nursing programs apply to our board. They submit a payment. They submit a bunch of documentation. They work very closely with the nursing education consultant. It takes typically at minimum 6 months to get to this level. And what they're looking at is, do they have the ability to sustain a nursing program? What would be the community impact? Is this of a benefit, et cetera? If our board approves this, then they will essentially have a brand new nursing program in this area. And then the next steps would be to hire program directors, hire faculty, make sure they have a location, develop curriculum. And then once they clear all the rules and regulations that we have, they are then opening. This is one of the conversations we had around West in LA, where the board said, you sound like you can support this, everything's great, but you might have to go to a different location. And the reason that we're doing it in this way is we had talked to Office of Administrative Law when we made some updates to our regs. And in the comment section, programs wanted to know if they should make that huge financial investment, so that they would know what their enrollment was. They would know that they would be pretty secure to move forward. And so I just want to make sure that once the board says yes to this feasibility, then all they have to do is come into compliance with all our rules and regulations, come back in front of our board, and they start a program. So this is the time when you guys would give direction if you see that this is not feasible, for them to not get a building, not hire, not create curriculum, et cetera, as to save them from a huge investment that may not be supported by the board for any reason.
Thanks, Lori. Who is the contact person that we have elevated for?
Michelle Welch, and she's available. Can you come off mute, Michelle?
Dr. Welch?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can
Okay.
barely hear you, but I can hear you. So how are the students? I read about the partnership with the clinics, but how are the students going to receive their hospital experience for their clinicals?
We have agreements with the 2 local hospitals here, Antelope Valley Medical Center and Palmdale Regional Medical Center. And we are planning to have our rotations on the weekend where there is availability for clinical rotations at this time.
And then I think, Dolores, you might be confusing that with the next one, if you're worried about clinic placements in a hospital. This one here is the one that's located in LA County by map.
Yes.
But it affects kind of the more greater kind of Kern County, more rural area, closer to kind of the Saracosa College that we just approved.
Thank you.
On their feasibility.
Yeah, just a reminder, we also don't have any regulations. Well, they do have to be affiliated with a hospital, but their clinicals do not have to solely be in a hospital.
Correct.
Any other questions from the committee members?
By looking at the map, this area is not impacted. Am I wrong or?
No, you're right.
Correct. If you look at it, the way that it is set up on region, it is in region 8 with LA. So that would be a huge impaction, right? Because we're not really focused on the LA. But when you look at location in that region, it is much closer to those more rural areas, closer to the Ontario location that we just kind of talked about. But really, when you look at kind of where it's located, it is in that the area where like Saracosa College was just approved, Ridgecrest, Kern County, and that is a high need location. So that should help you guys be able to make your decision as it's not kind of directly in LA.
Could you remind me the number of students that will be enrolled and the pattern?
They want to enroll 30 students once a year, starting in January of 24 for the first year. And then the second year, they want to do the same 30, and then they want to add 20 advanced placement, which is LVN to RN. And that will be 50 a year then, 30 and 20, 50 a year starting in 2025.
That area will probably be able to support it.
Yeah, it looks like they would.
And Saracosa College, I think it was 10 a year is all that they were enrolling. So not a huge conflict there, it seems.
Yeah, I think it could be supported.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion to recommend acceptance of the feasibility study for a new pre-licensure nursing program, High Desert Medical College, Lancaster, Associate Degree in Nursing program with the enrollment pattern of, and I need some help, first year in January, 30 students.
30 students once a year in 2024, increasing to 50 students starting in 2025.
Pending completion of the requirements set forth in 16 CCR and 1421 application for approval, including board acceptance of a self-study demonstrating that it meets the requirements of sections 1425 through 1432 and sections 2786.6A and B of the code. Do I have a second?
I think that was 1424, not 1425. Does that make a difference?
Oh, sorry. Did I say 25? 1424 through 1432 and sections 2786.6 A and B of the code. Do I have a second?
This is Trisha. I second.
Thank you. BRN moderator, would you take us to public comment?
We will be opening for public comment now. Please refer to the screen share for members of the public to see how they should type in their request for comment. I've activated the question and answer feature. Members of the public can indicate they would like to make a comment by typing into the question box, I would like to make a comment. Please remember, you will have 2 minutes to make your comments. I will not give a reminder as your time approaches. I do not want to interrupt you nor cause you to lose your train of thought. I will mute your microphone and inform you that your time has expired, and we'll move on to the next member of the public. I'll pause for a moment for members of the public to type in, I would like to make a comment. Christy Ballard would like to make a comment. 1 second, please.
I was asked by High Desert Medical College to address the impact of their using AVMC as a facility for their new program for clinical sites. As a clinical site, we would be able to accommodate the HDMC for our clinical site, that we would not have any issues with displacements and or concerns. HDMC would not need to displace their own LVM program clinicals to allow the RM program clinicals to work. We have the space in AVMC to accommodate their RM program while keeping other schools accommodated as well. AVMC would also like to speak to support the RM program that that HDMC is offering to our community. Given the necessity of the nursing staff and the current open positions for RNs within the community, we would be more than happy to have a new RM program within the Antelope Valley. I can refer you to the documentation that has been sent to the board on behalf given to the board by HDMC regarding the status and available positions for RNs within the Valley. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Committee Chair Dominguez, there are no other public requests for comment. Would you like me to close your window?
Yes, please. Thank you. I'd like to take it to a vote. I, Jovita, votes yes. President Trujillo?
I vote yes.
And Tricia Nguyen?
Nguyen, yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you so much. Agenda item 8.8.2, discussion and possible action regarding a feasibility study for a new pre-licensure nursing program. United Nursing College Associate Degree Nursing Program. Their information starts in your packet on page 119. And board moderator, if you could please elevate the presenters on the list for United Nursing College. United Nursing College has also submitted a feasibility study for a new associate degree nursing program. This is a newly established college, and this will be their first program. They are located in Marietta, California, which is in southwestern Riverside County. They would like to enroll 40 generic and 5 advanced placement LVN to RN students twice a year for a total of 90 students annually. Their agenda item summary has lots of other details. Page 121 has the data for Region 7, which is where Marietta would be in southwestern Riverside County. And we do have the program available to answer any questions. Michelle Rowland is the dean, and Dr. John Hung is the CEO, CFO.
Just for location, I know that we're referring it out as southwestern Riverside County. Marietta is only about under 60 miles north of San Diego. We did have some UMass gave us an update on their teach out because they were closing, actually saying that they were utilizing like Inland Empire and such for some clinicals, and that is up relatively close to that area in Rancho Springs and stuff like that. So just so you guys can know how closely that is, that it is very close to the San Diego area, and just in relation on the map and clinical site usage.
All right. Who we have, is it Julia Robinson elevated?
No, it's it should be, I don't see them right now. Julia was the last one. And board moderator, do we have either Michelle Rowland or John Hung?
Can you clarify?
Julia Robinson is the program director. She's on.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
You unmuted? Yes, I am. Hello.
Okay, go ahead, Julia.
Hi. First of all, thank you.
My apologies. You weren't on my list. I'm so sorry.
Okay. That's okay. Thank you so much for giving us the opportunity to present our plans for United Nursing College. We are asking for a new pre-licensure associate degree program in the city of Marietta, and we have already developed relationships in the community and have earned the support of the local medical providers and city officials who really understand the need to recruit, attract, and grow our healthcare delivery system and healthcare workforce in the community. Our location is right off the Interstate 215, and this area was specifically zoned for healthcare services and education. Having our school located within a 5-mile radius of several major medical centers will provide more nursing graduates the opportunity to work in healthcare setting within our own community and help to improve our current nursing shortage problem. We've been provided with provisional approval by the BPPE, and we already have an accreditation plan for institutional and programmatic. We have an RN to BSN program where we already have our first cohort, and we are finishing up our second cohort of MA students that are completing their practicum this month. We also work with the Murrieta Valley Unified School District, their career technical education, and what we're doing with them is that we're bringing healthcare career exposure to the students to prepare them for post-secondary education in the healthcare field. Our nursing administration and faculty are all experienced nursing faculty, and most of them have a doctorate degree in nursing or nursing education. We've also hired a dean of curriculum and instruction, and that's to help ensure that the level of rigor is expected and required for our nursing program is upheld. Our faculty have taught in private university system and within the community college system, so we understand the challenges schools face obtaining clinical placements. And because of this, we've developed a unique strategy for clinical rotations. Our CEO, Dr. John Hong, has over 40 clinics in 4 counties, and that includes ambulatory surgery centers, urgent care centers, and specialty clinics of all medical specialties, which employ RNs. Our plan is to utilize Dr. Hong's clinics for most of our clinical placements. Then we'll have the ability to augment and expand upon those experiences using a state-of-the-art simulation hospital unit that's going to be located within our school. United Medical Doctors also has numerous sites, and United Nursing College is willing to explore opportunities for other programs for clinical experience as well. We've already met with Dr. Farquharson at MSJC and have offered clinical placements for their radiology tech program once that's approved. We will need minimal acute care rotations for inpatient experiences, but we have no plans to ask for nor accept any placements that belong to other schools. We've had discussions with many of the local medical centers and have asked for placements that are not currently utilized for students. As experienced nursing educators, we totally understand the hardships that the shortage of clinical sites place on nursing schools. It is our plan to collaborate with other nursing programs and medical centers and not to compete with them. We recently attended the Inland Empire Healthcare Education Consortium on May 15th of this year, and we're allowed to present our plan for the school and clinical rotations to Jonathan Langley and the members that were present. We provided our contact information, and we have not received any concerns to date. But we did have Jonathan Langley and a few others state that they were going to be sending emails to Loretta Melby in support.
This is Tricia. I have just a comment. Thank you very much for being so sensitive to the concerns that we face, in every one of these meetings when we're looking at adding, additional students and additional placements and how tough that can be. So I just really appreciate your sensitivity to this.
Thank you.
I have a couple of questions. One is, did I understand you correctly that you're going to utilize various clinics for your clinical rotations?
We will be utilizing the clinics and the ambulatory surgery centers and the urgent care centers for a good majority of our clinical rotations. We also have a state-of-the-art 4-patient room hospital unit simulation lab that we can use to augment those same experiences, providing them with acute care scenarios. We do have 2 acute care facilities, and we have a subacute, it's an acute rehab as well, to be able to have that experience where the students are going into a situation where they're going to be working with patients in a hospital setting.
So you have actual contracts with these medical centers and the acute rehab for clinical placement?
We have had the EDP IO1s signed, yes. Oh, and 2 contracts, I'm sorry.
Yeah, they do have a certain amount of stuff that they have to do and submit, just so you know, Dolores, so before we can bring them to you. So they have submitted the forms from the clinical sites on the IO1.
I'm wondering specifically also about OB and PEDS.
Oh, thank you. So we do have a site that has agreed to take us for OB, and that's an acute care hospital. And we also have a pediatrician, we have a developmental center, and we have an urgent care center that has specific patients, rooms for pediatric patients.
But they're not inpatient?
The urgent care, the developmental center, and the pediatrician is not. We do have a inpatient for the OB.
So real quick clarification, Dolores, for you and our board members. We do have a business professions code that does require the students to, the nursing programs to be affiliated with a acute care setting. On the documentation that I'm able to find, it shows that they have the 2 contracts with the hospitals as pending. I don't show that the contracts are executed on the documentation. I was trying to look for that while you were asking that. I know their NEC is on the line, so it might be best to confer with her. I do show that Rancho Springs Medical Center is pending. Inland Valley is pending. Brady's Children's pending. So I'm not seeing on the list that I'm able to access that they have anything that directly ties them to a acute care hospital that is a requirement for approval. That might be of some concern unless that can be shared that they actually do have an affiliation.
That's a concern of mine.
This is Mary Jane. I'm the assigned NEC. We're
Hi,
at the
Mary Jane.
feasibility. Hi. This school's in the feasibility phase. So they have been in touch with these clinical facilities regarding the specific hours for specialty clinical. So the pending piece of it is they have been in touch in order to initiate a contract. And Julia, did you want to expand on the progress of that?
Sure. So we were required to submit the EDP I-01s, and we did. Some of them that are pending, we submitted our feasibility study quite some time ago. So since that has occurred, we have also had several different contracts and EDP I-01s formally signed. We do have Rady's over in Marietta. We have Rancho Springs, which has also agreed to do medical surgical and OB, and Inland Valley, which has agreed to do medical surgical. The OB and the pediatrics will be in the second semester of the program. So the first semester, we have all of the clinical acute care and clinic and simulation covered. We do have no concerns that we're going to be able to cover the second semester, third and fourth. We do have several of the different hospitals in the area that have been having discussions with us, and we've been attending several of their meetings, the community meetings with the Chamber of Commerce as well, which many of the medical members do attend. And there's been many talks of support and collaboration between those areas and United.
So Dolores, this is a committee meeting. So if you do have concerns on whether or not they meet the requirements for the Business Professions Code 2786, that says that it is affiliated or conducted in connection with one or more hospitals and is an institution of higher education, that is part of a approval process at this point. If you have concerns with that, you can recommend to accept pending the production of a contract at the board meeting. And if they are able to give the NEC a copy of a contract with at least one hospital, then
Your hospital.
it would not be of an issue and we'd be able to accept the feasibility study. So you can, if you find that everything else is in alignment with how you would want to vote, because it is a committee meeting, they can produce that documentation to show that they do have a contract with a hospital. And then you would have the ability to approve based on Business Professions 2786, the feasibility. And then once the feasibility and such is approved, we do reach out to BPPE, let them know that it's going through this process. It's moved to the next step. We're just waiting compliance with all rules and regulations, and then they would be dually approved at the same time with BRN as they are with BPPE, so that they would then also be an institution of higher education. So that is a process for it. You would not have to deny at this point. If that was something that you had a concern with, you would just ask them to produce that document for the August board meeting. And then that would not hold them up or anything. I think one of the other concerns that you brought forth was that they were utilizing majority of clinics, and it looks like some of those clinics would, like surgery centers, et cetera, urgent cares, have RNs, and some of your like inpatient psychs and rehab facilities. But on the other clinics that you're using that don't routinely employ nurses, would probably be a concern on how we can ensure that they would have nursing preparation in clinics that don't typically prepare or employ nurses.
I mean, you quoted that you have a cohort of MAs getting ready to be done. That's not my concern. My concern are the RN students and the clinical experience that they will have, which ideally for these students to be community prepared would be in a hospital type setting and not mostly in clinics.
Clinics are appropriate though. We do not have any, as Dr. Marianne McCarthy said, we do not have any regulation that requires clinicals to be in an acute care setting. It's just those clinics, we do have a requirement that it is RN preparation. And if they are not employing RNs, if they're not doing RN work, and so typically, and I'm saying typically because I don't know the specifics of each one of these clinics, there are clinics that typically are made up of physician PAs, NPs, and then they would employ MAs. And so what we would need to know as a board to be able to make that decision is how would RNs receive a clinical experience appropriate to preparing them to meet the Business Professions 2725 to be able to do that in a facility that does not employ or typically educate RNs.
Perfect.
May I speak?
Yeah, thank you, Julie.
Okay. We are in the works with Loma Linda Marietta across the street for a clinical contract. We do have the Rancho Springs Hospital as well. And like I said, Encompass Acute Rehab, which has inpatient as well. Dr. Hong's Urgent Cares do employ RNs. It's a step down, basically a step down ER. So it has the full facilities, it has an MRI, it has a CT, it has a lab. So it's fully staffed with RNs as well. You know, I feel as if I didn't represent the magnitude of what we do have for the students. And I know that you had mentioned that we have the MAs and that wasn't a concern, but one of the reasons that I brought up the MAs was that I wanted you to see that we do have the experience, and Dr. Hong has had educational programs that we have set up and we have started. We're not new. We've been with different schools. You know, I've worked with the private university system and with a community college system for the past 16 years. So I know what's required of the nursing schools, and we have set out to have that. We do have, like I said, everything set up for the first semester, including the acute care facility, and we're hoping to be able to have additional clinical sites to add to that. But I have no worry that we will have the clinical sites, including those acute care settings, when we begin our clinical rotations.
I'm inclined to defer
I don't know if I lost you, Dolores, but you can, are you deferring action to the board and then having the board?
I'm deferring action to the board. I would like to see at least one acute care hospital contract. And beyond that, I don't think there's anything else, any other roadblock. Committee members, do you have any questions or comments?
Well, I think that this is I haven't seen many of these types of items on our agendas in the past. But this does seem very well thought through, but you're right, there are some loose ends. So, the board is meeting in August. I would be willing to support your idea, Dolores, in, deferring this to the full board meeting and give them a couple more months to come up with the contracts, which will give us the peace of mind that this is really a well thought out plan.
I do have two people here that would like to speak as well. Dr. Michelle Rowland, and I believe we have Dr. Hong on the line as well. He's our CEO. May we have them speak?
Sure.
Okay.
Good afternoon, and I want to thank the entire board for having us on today and for hearing out our plan. I have been working alongside Dr. John Hong for quite a while now, and he is very well respected in the community. He has connections with many, many places and acute facilities. So I want to mention that the acute rehab, they do dialysis, they have PICC lines, they have TPN lipids, all of the things. It's not that typical SNF setting. And I'm in very close connection with Mayor John Lavelle. He also serves very high in administration at Loma Linda Hospital, which happens to be right across the street. We can walk right across the street. Our students can go directly over there. I've been in many leadership meetings at Loma Linda Hospital. I worked there for over 18 years, so they know me very well. And we have a great connection. So just our contract, yes, is not signed, but because it is a feasibility study, we had prepared all of those conversations. We have had many discussions, and the support from our community, our mayor himself, John Lavelle, I believe he is on here to provide public comment. So I'll let him speak when you open that for discussion. And I want to also let you know that I worked at Rady Children's Hospital. I know Mary Fagan well, and we have been in a lot of good discussions with the developmental center that's right there in Marietta, just about 4 miles from our school. Developmental center is going to meet all the objectives for our autistic piece, growth and development, and those children that have, developmental needs. So we do have a lot of great conversations going. We have a lot of EDP-01 signed, and it is our full intention to have full contracts to you prior to the August meeting, when we could, if you provide us the opportunity, to provide you our self-study, which is completely done. So I ask you to consider our school. We have a very, very unique business model. Just as Loma Linda wants to make their patients, their mission is to make man whole. That is something that has become part of our philosophy here at United Nursing College. And we are going to offer our students a very holistic approach. So with the unique business model of Dr. John Hong, we're going to allow advanced placement into jobs. So we're going to give that job assistance. We are also collaborating with the local acute facilities, Temecula Valley Hospital, Rancho Springs Medical Center, and Inland Valley. We've told them that we will not compete with any schools. We will take nights, we will take weekends, and any days that there are not other students present. So they're very excited. We also built a very unique clinical model, and they're very excited. Actually, Rancho Springs wants to be pilot. They want to pilot our special, unique clinical setup. So, and that is to bring the burden off of the nurses, not making those nurses feel even more burdened post-pandemic with more students to teach. So we are very unique. It is a different business model. There are only a couple of other colleges that are like us in the Northern California area, and they're very successful. Those that are connected with physicians. It's very unique to have a CEO that is a physician that has lived and raised his family here in Marietta for over 20 years. So I'm hoping you'll hear from a few of those that will add public comment. And I just want to thank you for your time and thank you for considering us to move forward toward that self-study. Thank you.
Yeah, I don't see Dr. Hong. I don't know. Board moderator is Dr. I'm sorry?
I don't see him either.
Yeah, I don't see him.
It seems, I'm sorry. It seems that he's having a hard time connecting.
Oh. Well, I would like to say it's sounds like you have a wonderful plan in place. Again, I would like to defer it to the board in August, pending the contracts with these hospitals, at least one. And you understand this is as you succinctly put it, this is a new type of program, and I mean, that's the only thing I can see that would be in your way. We're not stopping the feasibility study. We're just asking that you have that contract in place.
Is that a motion, Dolores?
It could be. I didn't know if you or Jovita would have anything more to say.
Well, I would be willing to second your motion. I don't think we are prejudicing their feasibility study in any way. We're giving them 2 months to kind of come in with a more complete plan. I don't have, issues with the model. I think it's definitely worth supporting, but there's nothing wrong with asking them to, come in with a more complete plan.
Okay, so we have a motion and we have a second with Trisha. May we take it, BRN moderator, may we take it to public comment?
We will be opening for public comment now. Please refer to the screen share for members of the public to see how they should type in their request for comment. I've activated the question and answer feature. Members of the public can indicate they would like to make a comment by typing into the question box, "I would like to make a comment." Please remember, you will have 2 minutes to make your comments. I will not give a reminder as your time approaches. I do not want to interrupt you nor cause you to lose your train of thought. I will mute your microphone and inform you that your time has expired, and we'll move on to the next member of the public. I'll pause for a moment for members of the public to type in, "I would like to make a comment." Committee Chair Dominguez, there are no public requests for comment. Would you like me to close this window?
Yes, thank you. I will take it to a vote. Jovita votes yes. President Trujillo?
Yes.
Trisha Wen?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries, and we look forward to seeing you in August and wish you the best. This takes us to 8.9, which is adjournment. And we will see each other physically in August.